I love podcasting. I have since 2006, back when you had to use like a Dixie cup with string to make the thing work. And that's why I'm so excited that we recently moved Mysterious Goings On to Anchor FM to record our podcast. I gotta tell you, I don't regret it a bit. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. First of all, it's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. And you can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. Not going to lie to you, when I first heard about Anchor, I was a little dubious because I've been doing it the hard way for so long. But I got to tell you, it's very easy. Use a Stripe account. Get sponsors. You're not paying monthly hosting fees. The sound quality is great. The distribution is phenomenal. Friends, download the free Anchor app today if you want to start your own podcast, or go to anchor.fm to get started. Remember, you heard it here first on Mysterious Goings On.
Hey, welcome back to Mysterious Goings On. This is Alex, your host. I am thrilled to be back with you after a little bit of a break. And actually, this is kind of a middle of the break, if that makes sense. We did a really good run the first part of the year of shows for this season, and we've got plenty more we're working on that's going to be coming up in our next couple of months. We'll be getting those put together and recorded and put out there for you and your listening pleasure. Just want to take a minute today. I'm testing out some new equipment, first of all, so I'd love to know what you think about the audio mix, if it sounds a little better than usual, sounds the same, that kind of thing. The other thing is, I had something happen to me. It was really interesting and not without some minor trauma. So I'm pretty attuned to my health. I think a lot of you who longtime listeners know that. You know that I work out a lot, and I run, and I do kickboxing, and I try to watch what I eat. Probably my biggest indulgence being just too many cocktails on average per week, that kind of thing. Hey, we all need a vice, right? But in general, for a man of my age, my advanced years, I'm in pretty good shape, right? So the other day, I do my annual eye exam, which is one of the benefits of having health insurance that's decent, is you get some built-in eye checks, and that's important. And usually I've sailed right through them. In fact, until I was 40 years old, I had better than perfect vision. If there's such a thing as better than perfect vision, I had it. Well, it's been a few years since I was 40, and I needed the usual things like reading glasses and that sort of stuff, but generally I'm in good shape. So anyway, I go in, and they are doing all kinds of eye exams on me, with these machines. They've got a new machine that checks for certain eye diseases, that checks the eye pressure, and it was one I'd never seen before, and they used that one on me, and in addition to the old standbys I was used to. And the tech kind of goes, well, that's interesting. Okay. And then she says, well, the doctor will talk to you about that. So I go in the doctor, and she looks me over and is making a lot of sounds herself. And then she says, well, look, I think you've got glaucoma. Just like that. And I'm like, what? You're joking? And I said, no, I'm fine. She says, do you have glaucoma in your family? I was like, not that I know of. Checked later, and I don't. And she says, well, you apparently have glaucoma, or the beginnings of it. So it's good we caught it. So what we'll do is we'll get you started on some. And I'm like, wait, are you sure? She says, well, not 100%, but it sure looks like it. I said, well, can we double check again soon to see? She says, well, yeah, we can do that. So she says, come back in a couple of weeks. Well, I'm fairly neurotic anyway, and fairly hyper aware of my body's various aches and pains and things, and probably to my own detriment. Actually, I'm having to learn to ignore things so I don't get all freaked out about stuff. Right? Well, this freaked me out. I mean, just like anybody else who is a sighted person since birth, the idea of losing your sight is a terror. It's a terrifying thing. And I didn't know much about glaucoma other than if you don't treat it properly, you'll go blind. And I just immediately spiraled, and I'm just like, oh my God, I'm going to go blind? What the hell? I mean, and even though the rational part of my brain understood that no, you're not going blind tomorrow if you have glaucoma. Lots of people have it. There's, as the doctor said, there's medications that will mitigate it and prevent you from losing sight. I think it was just the idea that, pardon the pun, this unseen thing creeps up on me and is threatening to take away my vision, and what runs through my mind is, oh my God, as long as I'm around, I want to be able to see my daughter's face. I want to see her continue to grow. I want, if I ever am blessed with grandchildren, I want to see them. I want to look at nature. I want to be, but most of all, I want to be independent. Now, understand, I am not, as a sighted person, fully understanding of what life is like for someone who doesn't have sight. So I'm sure if you're a person who is not sighted listening to this show, to a degree, you're probably think I'm funny for freaking out so much about it, because you live probably a very full life. But understand that for somebody who's been sight dependent his whole life, that's a terrifying thing, right? All these different scenarios, and I'm a writer, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I write by composing at the keyboard, and what if I couldn't see my words and read them back to myself, and how would that work? And I got so completely ahead of myself on all this. I mean, it's actually kind of amusing knowing me, how neurotic I get. But it's also not amusing considering that some of my neuroses is genuine, built-in stuff from my childhood, which I won't get into here. Nobody wants to hear about that. But anyway, I'm just, of course, seeing this as yet another example of, the built-in obsolescence of the human body. You can take very good care of yourself and still get sick and still start to lose the things that you're dependent on, lose the very systems in your body. If you're looking at your body as if it's a car or something, you can take very good care of a car. You can change the oil every 4,000 miles or whatever. You can make sure the shocks are taken care of, blah, 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 blah. But eventually it's going to wear out. This, in addition to some other things that have crept up in my advancing years, it was just like a crushing thing. And I was scared, and I was depressed and upset. And everybody I talked to, so when I talked to my wife and my best friend and one thing, and they're all like, oh, don't worry, my mom had that, and she just had new lenses put in. I was like, no, these are not cataracts. This is something different. This is not something you can just fix, with a new lens. This is, anyway. So what's interesting in my research for this, so I go and I look at, okay, after I've talked to everybody about this, I'm like, no, you don't understand. This is what it is, and you can treat it and all this stuff, but it's scary and all. So I go and I thought, well, what did I do to deserve this, right? You go through these stages, right? So I go and I look at a website. It's like, 10 tips to reduce your risk for glaucoma, right? Exercise regularly is number one, which I do. I have for years. I mean, for no less than 10 years, I have exercised regularly. And I'm talking not once or twice a week. I'm pretty heavy duty exerciser. Past 4 or 5 years, I've exercised 4 or 5 times, 6 times a week. Okay, well, I did that, so good. Eat a rich diet, or diet rich in fruits and vegetables, especially green leafy ones. You're listening to a guy who pretty much every day for breakfast eats some form of spinach in his eggs, or plenty of vegetables. Could do to eat more, and I shall, but I think compared to most people, I eat just fine. 3 was drink coffee in moderation, or better yet, drink tea instead of coffee. There was a study that showed that people who consume at least 1 cup of hot tea daily had 74% decreased odds of having glaucoma compared with those who did not consume hot tea. And they're saying a little coffee is fine. Well, I drink 2 cups a day, so I think I'm all right there. And I drink tea occasionally. Consider taking a magnesium supplement. I've been taking powdered magnesium for some time, not my whole life, but I recently have been taking that, so I understood that. I thought, okay. Brush, floss, and visit the dentist regularly, because the studies show that tooth loss may be linked to increased glaucoma risk, because periodontal disease may trigger an inflammatory response that can contribute to glaucoma. Okay, don't smoke. I haven't smoked in a very long time, and when I did smoke, it wasn't that much. And it's been a long, long time ago. Don't smoke, kids. Bad idea. Maintain a healthy body weight. I'm pretty good there. Avoid inverted postures in yoga. I don't do a lot of yoga, so there you go. Avoid neckties. I have not worn neckties on a regular basis in over 10 years, so I don't think that's it. And then get screened regularly for glaucoma, especially if you have a family history of the condition. Okay, so I'm basically good here, right? So why the heck, is this young doctor of mine saying you have glaucoma? Why do you have intracranial pressure? I guess it'd be helpful if I backed up and said, told you what is glaucoma. Well, it's a complex disease in which damage to the optic nerve leads to progressive irreversible vision loss. It's the second leading cause of violence. Did I say that? It's the second leading cause of blindness. There are several forms of it, but basically there's pressure in the eye, and that starts damaging, I believe, the optic nerve and causes blindness. You start losing vision first, your peripheral vision usually, and then you just start losing a lot. Anyway, so here I am with the why me syndrome, right? And I'm all like, oh, why me? What did I do? Because I always feel like when something like this happens that it's somehow my fault. Just another way I was raised. It's like if something bad happens to me, well, it's usually because I must have done something to cause this, right? I hastened this decrepitude by doing something stupid, right? Well, that's my makeup. That's my psychology I've got to work out. All right, so I did do this, though. I'm getting better about these things. I decided I was not going to WebMD this. I was not going to, beat it to death. I was going to put it aside until 2 weeks later when I had my new eye exam to check it out and just see if there was an anomaly or check it out. So I go back in and we start the tests again, and they pull out the little gun, but it's basically the new puff test, which checks the intracranial eye pressure. And I'm getting ready to do it, and the tech says to me, now, this is that new thing we did. And I said, yeah, 2 weeks ago I did it. She says, yeah. Now, make sure you don't hold your breath, because even though it's kind of counterintuitive because somebody's kind of putting a gun to your eye, if you hold your breath, it'll skew the results. Okay, so I am breathing super normally, is super, extra normal. So I'm breathing normally. Here I am. The microphone is in front of me now, and I'm pretending like it's the gun or whatever. I call it a gun. It's probably not called a gun. She does the test, and she goes, oh, that's much better than last time. And I said, yeah, okay, good. So they do a few more tests, and then I go back into the exam room with the doctor again, and she's all cheery and nice, and she's like, so do you have any glaucoma in your family? I said, no, I checked. There's nobody that we know of. Okay. She's like, okay, well, sit down. Oh, she sits down, actually, and she starts like, okay, look at this, and then all these machines, and better like this, and better like this, and all these different things, and looking at me with this weird lenses of hers and making me stare at weird lights and stuff. Anyway, she's doing a lot of, okay, yeah, she's doing a lot of that, and I'm like, okay. Then she says, well, I don't think you have glaucoma. Now, your eye pressure was higher, but I don't think you have glaucoma at this point. You're what I would call somebody we should watch. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? She says, oh, just come back every year. I said, which is what I do already. She said, yeah. And I said, well, you just need to understand you scared the crap out of me, and I'm coming back in 6 months. And she said, okay, you're welcome to do that. You're insured. Come back. I said, no, I think you got me worried. She goes, listen, there's no damage we can see. I don't think you have glaucoma. You're on the edge. You could eventually have it if things don't, change too radically. 10 years from now, you could have it. And I'm like, well, let's see how we do in 6 months. So I actually, though, I was not mad at her. I could have actually just kissed her, but that would have been very inappropriate. Just because I was so relieved and excited. I could have kissed the tech. I could have kissed the guy who makes the lenses outside. I could have done all those people. I could have kissed everybody in the waiting room, but I didn't. I didn't kiss anybody. I just smiled and paid my bill or whatever, and made my appointment for 6 months, and got to my car, and of course texted my wife and said, oh my God, you're not going to believe this. I don't have it. And I mean, we're all relieved, but we're all like, oh my God. So what I think it gets down to is this one thing, my friends. When life hands something like this to you, the key thing here is to breathe normally. Breathe normally on these tests you're given in life. Holding your breath and tensing up can often cause an injury or skew the results. That's my lesson to you for today. It's my lesson to myself. You're going to get older. If you're privileged enough to become elderly, that means you survived a long time. And if that happens, the car you are driving in, this body, is going to start to fail. You're going to have bad knees or arthritis, which I have arthritis too, but not too bad. Your vision's gonna fail. You're gonna lose some hearing. I've lost hearing. We'll talk about my hearing aid adventure in another episode. The point being is all you can do is breathe normally. Try not to obsess about it. Do the treatments that you're given and live your life. So that's kind of what I'm doing. And I wanted to kind of get this story related to you while I was thinking about it, and hopefully it gave you a chuckle or help you pass the day or a little bit. But we'll be back with more episodes with other people. We're going to interview some wonderful folks coming up. We've got some interesting topics coming up. Don't forget pilotscross.com. You can find everything there. I'm on Amazon.com. We've got some information coming your way soon about the Omnibus Edition coming your way in October of 2019. Hard at work on the stories for that. Don't forget, John Pilot Mysteries is updated just about every day on Facebook. Just go look there. I hope you're doing well, and I just advise you to just keep breathing normally. Get through as best you can. And until next time, keep reading.
A little flexibility can go a long way. By refinancing your new or used auto loan with PenFed, you can lower your monthly payments for more flexibility in your budget. You can even schedule your first payment for up to 60 days from the date of your refinance. Calculate how much you could save at penfed.org/auto-refi or call 1-800-247-5626 to apply. Membership is open to everyone. To receive any advertised product, you must become a member of PenFed, insured by NCUA. A little flexibility can go a long way. By refinancing your new or used auto loan with PenFed, you can lower your monthly payments for more flexibility in your budget. You can even schedule your first payment for up to 60 days from the date of your refinance. Calculate how much you could save at penfed.org/auto-refi or call 1-800-247-5626 to apply. Membership is open to everyone. To receive any advertised product, you must become a member of PenFed, insured by NCUA.